Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Immaculate, the 2024 movie starring that of Sydney Sweeney. So I finally just watched this movie. It's on Hulu right now, and I've been kind of curious to see this for a couple of reasons. One, I already knew what happened in the movie because, this movie has come out for like months and everything. So I wanted to see that controversial ending. I also was really curious to see, a religious horror type movie because The Nun and The Exorcist just didn't do it for me. I like the television show The Exorcist, but like those nun movies just didn't do nothing for me. And plus, I wanted to see Sydney Sweeney in the movie because the last time I ever saw her in anything was a television show over about, 10 years ago called Everything Sucks. That only lasted for one season on Netflix. And I haven't seen her in anything since. And I've been kind of curious because, like a long time ago, I said I wouldn't mind if she was cast as Supergirl in James Gunn's Supergirl movie, because I said she can act, but then I stopped and thought to myself, well, I haven't seen her act in a long time, so can she or not? Plus, I've been kind of curious because, she's always getting typecast as like that sex symbol type person. And so I wanted to see if my memory was good enough from like her acting and stuff. Plus, there's been so many like rumors about her. I have no idea if they're true or not. And plus, it was kind of curious to see her play a nun because of the simple fact she is over sexualized in like Hollywood and stuff. Because I remember when Madam Web came out and flopped, all of a sudden she started posting these like raunchy pictures in her costume. And I'm just kind of like, is she doing this because she feels like doing this, or is the studio making her do this? And I'm thinking to myself, how the heck did she get her hands on her costume? You're not allowed to keep your Hollywood costume. That's something that, a lot of studios just don't like. So I'm thinking to myself, my God, because the movie flopped, the studio, Sony, must have had her pose all sexy in the costume to try to bring people to the theaters, and it still did not work. And if that is true, if that's what the studio did, shame on them, because they're basically taking advantage of her and her hot body. Now, when it comes to her and her body, look, you gotta give it up to the girl. She's hot. You know what I'm saying? She knows she's hot. I believe she said a while ago, she knows she'll never win like an Oscar. And she knows she has a hot body and she knows it's her money maker and everything. And that was kind of hurtful to hear because it's kind of like, gee, because her acting is pretty good. Like, it's not terrible and stuff. But it's sad to know she has to rely on her looks just to like get certain roles and stuff because people aren't thinking about her acting ability. And when it comes to her being overly sexualized, you gotta blame Hollywood, but you also gotta blame her as well. Not only does she allow it to happen, because she could say no at any time, but it's like she does it on her own at times. Like when she like every time, every time she's trending on Twitter, it's because she posts a really hot sexual picture of herself. Like just recently, she was on a boat and she posted a bunch of like booty pictures and stuff of her wearing a bikini. Did somebody make her do that? Did a studio make her do that? Probably not. It was most likely her just doing it to keep, people talking about her because nobody has been talking about her for a while. When they're not talking about her family members' politics or talking about whether or not she worked at a theme park or not, nobody's really talking about her unless it's about her body. And that's really irritating because, she trends a lot every once in a while on Twitter, but it's always because of her body and stuff. It's never because of a project she's in, or most people are fan casting her as Black Cat right now, but that's about it. But it's never about her work. And it's really sad because she, like I said before, she can actually act. And what's interesting about this movie, it's been in development hell for 10 years. They were originally thinking about trying to develop this movie back in 2014, and it just never happened. So she eventually bought the rights to this movie to where, they could flesh out the script and get like a studio and all this and that. And so, like, they finally made it. Who the heck made this movie? Was it Neon? I'm not sure. I don't think it was A24, I don't think. But yeah, so this is like her little pet project. One in which she produced for her own studio company and she starred in as the leading role. And like I said, she did a very phenomenal job playing this role. I didn't feel like this is the over sexualized Sydney Sweeney from or the bad girl Sydney Sweeney from Everything Sucks. Now, there are some scenes where they are made to, like, catch your eye, like when she's wearing her gown and she's soaked in water and, it's like, matted to her body and everything. But, like, one interesting thing. There's two women that they did this to in the movie. One lady who's a co-star, you can see her, like, am I even allowed to say this word on YouTube? I don't know. Let's just say, what kind of innuendo can I use? Her nubs. Let's put it that way. You can see her nub impressions and the coloration of them, that dark brown color through like the outfit she's wearing, the co-star. But when it comes to Sydney Sweeney, you can't see no nubs and everything. I think that was either intentional or maybe because her nubs were the same color as like, maybe the outfit. I have no idea. You know what I'm saying? Geez, there's a lot of words you just can't say on YouTube no more. I gotta use the word nubs. That's a shame, man. Like, what happened to YouTube, man? But anyways, and you couldn't see hers. I think that was intentional because she just didn't want to do that because she wanted to let people know that, hey, look, this ain't Euphoria and everything. This ain't Everything Sucks. Like, like I can do other stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I know she was in a rom-com movie with Glenn Powell recently, and that did very well and stuff. And she was on SNL. Now, when it comes to this movie, like I said before, I was curious because, I wanted to see like a religious horror movie. I've seen a couple, like I said, Exorcist, didn't do it for me. Those Nun movies didn't do it for me. There was this one Lifetime movie that actually did it for me. It was actually pretty cool. And it was actually pretty scary for a Lifetime movie and stuff. And so, like, so I was really curious. So I wanted to see, were there any good jump scares? What the plot's gonna be like going forward and all this and that. I was very intrigued at the beginning because there's this one nun trying to escape the place and trying to climb, like, that tall gate, only to be, like, having her leg broken and for her to be buried alive. I'm like, my God, this is going to be great. Like, give me more of this. However, there really wasn't no more of that. I have to say this. This is not a terrible movie. But it's not like a great wow movie either. It's just kind of a blah, very bland, very nonchalant type movie where not a whole lot really happens. It's just a bunch of nuns going about their day, and that's about it. Like, it's her going out to Italy and everything. And like, it's very quaint. It's very pleasant. It's very chill. There's not a whole lot going on. There are a few jump scares and everything. Like the lady with the scissors in her hair. I thought she was going to get it, but only her hair got it. Then there are these weird kind of like vision type things of these women dressed in red and these faceless masks. And the problem is that's never really explained. Like, what was the point in that? Because it's not really explained. Most of the jump scares are not explained. She gets along very well with everybody except for this one person who's kind of moody and everything. But other than that, the plot just goes along and not a whole lot happens. But then, of course, the big twist is she's pregnant, even though she is a virgin. How did she get pregnant? Is she the new, like, Virgin Mary? Is she about to, like, make Jesus 2.0 and everything? Like, what's going on and everything? So it's like a miracle, and they start worshiping her and everything. Until this one person gets really angry, is all like, it should have been me, it should have been me. And then this is when the movie kind of falls apart a little bit more, because her reaction to all this is like she's freaked out, but she's not overly freaked out. She's not really asking questions. She's not trying to figure out the history of this monastery and everything. She's not trying to figure out, like, why does one lady say, it should have been me. She just kind of has this kind of bewildered, what the heck kind of like expression on her face, but not asking no questions. And that's really boring to me. Then all of a sudden, she tries to escape there, and she escapes there in a very clever way. She takes a chicken, and originally she had to like cut it, to cook it and everything. She couldn't do it. But this time she cut the crap out of that chicken, chopped his head off, stuck it up like her dress, bloody herself up, and pretended like she miscarried just so she can get rushed out to the hospital. And so the priest dudes, they take her to the hospital only for one of the nuns to realize it's a ruse. Then that's the best parts ever, when the priest dude is like on the phone, and he slowly turns around, looks at her in the back seat, pissed off, knowing she tricked the crap out of them. But then afterwards, we see her running in the field, and it's like, how the heck did she escape without the men getting out the car first and grabbing her? But anyway, she's running for her life, but they end up capturing her. And it's just kind of still in this nonchalant kind of way, but then here's the kicker. It turns out that, they have a piece of, like, I guess like the spear or whatever, or like maybe like the cross that, like, Jesus was tied on, and they used the DNA on that to clone Jesus 2.0. And they've been trying to like impregnate all these women and stuff, and she's the lucky person. So of course she's freaked out by this, and she's able to escape and fight her way out. And it's pretty bloody and everything when she tries to escape, but it's just kind of like, wow, all this strength just came out of nowhere. And then of course, it happens. She gives birth to this thing. She picks up a giant boulder, and she smashes the baby. And that was the big controversial thing that many people was all like, yeah, you might not like this movie if you're religious and stuff. And, and it's just kind of like all this stuff kind of just like happens, and you get a little explanation for it, but it's very a blase type movie. I wanted more suspense. I wanted more jump scares. I thought this was going to be like a supernatural type movie, especially with those ladies dressed like in red and stuff, but it was none of that. And, when you stop and you think about it, the nuns and the pastors and the preacher, whatever the dudes are, were they really truly that evil? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, okay, they wanted to clone Jesus. They wanted a second coming of Jesus. But other than that, most of them just didn't act evil or bad. It's just once they she figured it out, and they didn't want her to try to stop them. This is when they started all of a sudden doing the whole, oh, we're evil and bad type thing, you know what I'm saying? But then everybody else in the movie seems like fairly nice. So it's kind of like, it's not like they were trying to like clone the devil or anything like that, or take over the world, or like what they did was wrong, but I was expecting them to be like super evil, you know what I'm saying? But they weren't, like a cult type thing, but they kind of were, and they kind of wasn't. So while I think this is a pretty decent, fair, and good kind of movie, it's not what I was expecting. I was expecting like supernatural, paranormal, like freakiness. I was expecting like this evil cult trying to like kill people and stuff. And I was expecting them to like resurrect like some type of demon baby or something like that, And it would have been nice if it was something along those lines. And it would have been a whole lot better if her expression throughout the whole thing weren't so nonchalant and so blasé. Like, I wanted her to be more engaging. Sister Cecile, whatever her name is, like with the whole plot that's like going around, you know what I'm saying? I wanted her to like, start asking a bunch of questions, trying to find ways to escape, only not to be able to. Like, sneak into a room, start reading their books and see what they're trying to do. Not just have all this like nothing stuff happens for over an hour. Then all of a sudden she's pregnant and people worship her just to be blasé. And then all of a sudden get this big explanation from like the priest of what they're doing, because this is the third act now. So I needed to be more engaging and stuff. Like, it's an okay movie, but I would not call it a horror movie. I mean, I'm not even using my Halloween like template and everything, because I feel like this ain't even a horror movie really. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.